YouTube, and welcome to Musicology for the People. It's Women's History Month, so today I thought we would talk about one of the most important women in music history, Nadia Boulanger. Nadia was born in 1887 to a very musical family. Her mother was a famous opera singer, and her father was a composer and violin teacher at the Paris Conservatoire. Also, fun fact, her paternal grandmother was a Russian princess. With her father's influence, Nadia began studying at the Paris Conservatoire at the young age of 10. While there, she studied with such teachers as Vierne, Fauré, and Widor. She wrote her first art song in 1901, a setting of Victor Hugo's Extase. She won first prizes in counterpoint, fugue, harmony, organ, and piano accompaniment by the age of 17. And when she was 19, she placed second at the Grand Prix de Rome, the largest and most competitive competition for composers in France. A few years later, she was invited to teach at the Paris Conservatoire, a position she held from 1909 to 1924. During this time, she also co-wrote her opera La Vie Morte with Raoul Pugno. In fact, Nadia wrote some very important vocal works during this time, including settings of poems by Verlaine, Maeterlinck, Heine, and even Mauclair. However, in 1918, tragedy struck when her sister died a very early and untimely death. Nadia's little sister Lily, who was 6 years younger than her, was perhaps an even greater composer than Nadia herself. Lily was actually the first woman to be awarded the first prize in the Grand Prix de Rome. Unfortunately, she suffered from a disease as a child that left her immune system very much impaired, and she passed away from Crohn's disease at the age of 24. Also, interesting note, back then Crohn's disease was called intestinal tuberculosis. After Lily's death, Nadia stopped composing and dedicated her life to teaching and increasing awareness of her sister's compositional works. She gained 2 faculty positions in order to accomplish this. The first was at l'École Normale de Musique, which is a position she held from 1920 to 1939. The second position was at the American Conservatory of Music in Fontainebleau, a position she held from 1921 until her death in 1979. Her position at the American Conservatory led to an increased relationship between her and American composers. She made her first visit to the US in 1921 when she guest lectured at Rice University. At that time, she also premiered Aaron Copland's Organ Symphony. After this trip, she made appearances as conductor at the Boston Symphony Orchestra and with the New York City Symphony, the first time a woman had ever conducted those orchestras. She also conducted the first performance of Stravinsky's Dumbarton Oaks in Washington, D.C. Her influence in American music was not limited to performance, however, as she taught many of America's most famous composers. She also served 7 years on faculty at various American institutions, including Juilliard, Yale, Radcliffe, Wellesley, Mills, and Longy. Her sphere then broadened to include England, where she taught Lennox Berkeley and was the first woman to conduct the Royal Philharmonic Society in London. When she returned to France in 1950, she was made director of the American Conservatory of Music in Fontainebleau. Even though she was now incredibly famous and well sought after, she always made it a point to take on whatever student came and sought her out. She also used her influence in the musical sphere to begin a rebirth of Renaissance and Baroque music. She became one of the first musicians to perform Monteverdi and made some of the first recordings of Rameau, Charpentier, and Renaissance French music. Her list of students is actually incredible. She taught people like Aaron Copland, Roy Harris, Walter Piston, John Elliott Gardner, Carter Elliott, and Igor Markovich, Philip Glass, and Astor Piazzolla, just to name a few. While she's mostly known for her teaching and conducting, she did eventually return to composing. Her body of work is small, but very influential and absolutely gorgeous. She wrote quite a bit of vocal music, she wrote an opera, and she wrote some orchestrated works as well. We've been listening to her 3 pieces for cello and piano. I hope you enjoyed learning about Nadia Boulanger. She's always served as an inspiration to me, and I hope that she can continue to serve as an inspiration to women all throughout the music industry. Until next week, au revoir! Musicology.